Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I recognize we're pressed for time, but this is such a deep philosophical issue that I think it deserves some counterweight. In the aftermath of the French Revolution, a young child was born. She lived on the coast of France, and she belonged to a family which were fishermen. Her father went out one day and never came back from sea. The family was reduced to destitution and poverty. She had to go to work as a young girl as what was called a maidservant at that time. And one day, walking home, she spent a quiet, pious life, apparently, but as an adult, when she had never married, and as an adult, she was coming home, and she noticed a disabled person who was blind freezing in the cold. She took her home, put her in her own bed, and that was the beginning of the religious order that is known as the Little Sisters of the Poor, who to this day, in this country and throughout the world, serve the needs of the poorest of the poor, the indigent elderly. They are under threat. And from whom? From our government, from us. Why? Because they find that the Health and Human Services mandate, which tells them they must buy certain drugs and procedures that violate their core beliefs, the core of their mission, their religious ideals, that they cannot do that. They're put in the midst of a false choice between their ethical convictions and obeying the government. How did we get here? The bipartisan church amendment in 1973 established a long-held legal precedent and cultural precedent that goes all the way back to Jefferson, who noted that our Constitution, one of the most sacred precepts, is this right of conscience. The church amendment in 73 codified this. Bill Clinton put one of these rights of conscience provisions in one of his own budgets. And this is where we are today, that this health care agreement is violating the deeply held ethical sensibilities of many, many Americans, and it's simply not fair. We ought to be doing the opposite. Note the irony here, that the very people, the very organization, this group of nuns and others who are providing health care for the poorest of the poor, the very intent of the health care law itself, are under threat from the strong arm of government. So I think Chairman has done the right thing. I'm out of time. I yield back. Thank you.